The night of March 20 was Watson walking in front of Sherlock House. He thought him visiting his friends, so he called the door. In that moment, someone opened the door and Watson passed. There was his friend, working as he used to. Watson sat down, and as fast as he took seat, Sherlock was deducing some things of Watson's life. For this reason, Sherlock gave him the opportunity to try it and asked him to read a letter that he received via email. The letter said that that night would go someone with a mask for ask him something. Fastly, they started watching some clues in the letter. For example, the greeter is German and the letter was written in Bohemia. Now they have to investigate what needs the masked man.
As he spoke there was the sharp sound of horses' hoofs and grating wheels against the curb, followed by a sharp pull at the bell. Holmes whistled. "A pair, by the sun," said he. "Yes," he continued, glancing out of the window. "A nice little brougham and a pair of beauties, 150 guineas apiece. There's money in the case, Watson, if there's nothing else." Watson wants to leave the room because some of the mysterious men will arrive where they were, but he will not allow it and asks him to stay. Besides, Holmes recognizes that this whole situation can be interesting and entertaining. Holmes was angry, but still convinced the doctor to stay with him in a small chair in the room. "Go ahead," said Holmes. A man entered who could hardly have been less than 6 feet 6 inches in height, with the chest and limbs of a Hercules. His dress was rich, with a richness which would, in England, be looked upon as akin to bad taste. Heavy bands of astrakhan were slashed across the sleeves and front of his double-breasted coat, while the deep blue cloak which was thrown over his shoulders was lined with flame-colored silk, and secured at the neck with a brooch which consisted of a single flaming beryl, bows which extended half-way up his scalp, and which were trimmed at the tops with rich brown fur, completed the impression of barbecued opulence which was suggested by his whole appearance. Holmes recognized who he meant. That mask would not fool anyone. The man understood that his identity had already been revealed, so he began to tell him the tale of the problem that all this time has turned his life into a hell. "Say a lot of things. Say blah 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 blah." Holmes already knew all the information necessary to understand what was happening. Date of birth, date, favorite place, maybe opera singer, something like that. The man wanted to retrieve all the love letters she showed her because she can reach blackmail. Holmes answered that these letters had not proof of anything, because everything can be false. The Count wondered if the letter, the seal, and the photo were proof of authenticity, but it was obviously not so. He had tried to rob the woman about 5 times, but she always used a hiding place that is difficult to find. The big problem is that in the photo appear the two lovers. Finally, Holmes needed money to take the case calmly and get tools to accomplish the process goal. He gave a check of payment result made by the mission he knew as. The king paid him with a large bag of money and offered him several lands that he owned. So he decides to finish this uncomfortable visit and expect to meet again the next day at 3 p.m.
Watson leaves the house at 8 a.m. He comes back at the house at 4 p.m. and Sherlock asks him where were he and what was he doing. He answered him that he was searching for information about Irene Adler and the place where the photograph is. And Sherlock asked for information. Then Sherlock and Watson begin to plan how to find the photograph and how they will get there. Irene invites Sherlock to her house to take care about him. He takes advantage of the situation and he saw the photograph in one of the rooms of Irene's home. Watson puts a bomb of smoke for simulate a fire, so Sherlock can get out of Irene's house without the photograph. After a while later, they can see each other out of Irene's house, and Sherlock said that he knows where the photo is.
The next day, Sherlock and Holmes went to the hotel where the king was staying to tell him what they halfway discovered in the house of Irene Adler. He was very surprised. They immediately took the king's landau to arrive to Irene Adler's house, but when they arrived there was a woman that was waiting for them to explain what the Irenes had said time before she left. The moment the man asked for Irenes, the woman said that she had just left. However, they have permission to come into the house to check what the madame had left for them. They were too surprised with that news. When they came into the house, Sherlock went forward to the security box where the photograph was. However, when they opened it, he realized that the photograph wasn't there. Instead of that, there were a letter which says all the truth about that story. And with that, the end of the story arrived.